William, quick one. I'll drag you into the current age. You written something in 1951 about Fleming meeting somebody from Rangoon about shrinking of the empire. If 51, you thought the empire started shrinking, is Brexit the last chapter of the shrinkage? Do you think the empire is finished? We'd be happy to know that.
The British Empire?
Yes.
Long finished, obviously, yeah. I mean, what's finished probably in the last 3 years is the United Kingdom. I'm Scottish. I voted for the Union last time when we had the last Scottish referendum. If we have a Brexit England, which is anti-Europe, insular, belligerent and ignorant, it's not just the Scots who are going to vote themselves out. It's the Irish and the Welsh too. And people forget that Britain is a very recent concept, 1707. Same sort of period as this whole story. The Union takes place. And I would imagine at the moment that we'll see the breakup of the United Kingdom within the next decade. And that Scotland will probably remain in Europe. I certainly hope to have a European passport again before too long.
Do you have a comment to make on contemporary India?
So I'm a great optimist in terms of economics. It seems to me that everything has to go wrong in order to stop India becoming the next great economy. That logically and in every other way, I mean, wherever they go in the world, Indians succeed. As soon as they're let out of India, they will rise to the top everywhere. We now currently have Sajid Javid and Priti Patel as our Home Minister and Foreign Minister in Britain, and this has happened in a generation. I mean, we just seen in Canada, the Sikh character is now the Deputy Prime Minister under Trudeau, and the people of India are hardworking. They have incredible resources, and India will be the second economic power in the world, I'm quite sure, by the time I die. I'm not a fan of this government. And
you're not a fan of this government?
I'm not a fan of this government, and I think what's happening in Kashmir will undermine India, is my personal view. And I think there are some very dangerous things going on with the Indian press and the silencing of the opposition and the absence, frankly, of an opposition. No, that's not Modi's fault. The fact that the Congress party has disintegrated currently, I think is very worrying. I hope that out of this a new opposition will emerge, giving India a two-party system, which it needs. But I think despite all that, I cannot see a future where India cannot succeed. I think its success is assured unless something terrible happens. My big fear is that by focusing so much belligerence on Pakistan and by all this action in Assam, disenfranchising 1 million Assamese Muslims, the whole action in Kashmir and so on, India will focus too far on Pakistan and forget the far greater threat that China poses. And China at the moment is much richer, much more economically and militarily advanced than India. And my fear is that we'll see another 1962, and that Modi could suffer, ironically, the fate of his least favorite politician, Nehru, because China is now much, much more powerful than India, and yet India remains amazingly blind to the threat, I think, that China poses to it. And by focusing all its anger on Pakistan, which is a very minor player in the world stage, in actual fact, it's it's not the equal of Pakistan. It's the there were points in the first decade of this century when the Indian economy was growing every year by the size of the Pakistani economy. It's that level of disproportion. I think India needs to refocus its anxieties much more on China and the string of pearls, the deep water ports in Trincomalee and Gwadar and elsewhere, because I think China is the force that India will ultimately have to reckon with, and that in the next, 20, maybe it's 20 or 30 years till that happens, but it's the relationship of those two powers that will determine the future of this planet.
The future of this planet. And that's a historian speaking who can draw on his research and experience.